Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Well, a massive week for global news. We're going to go over all the headlines and the crypto news like normal. A sea of red this week with Tezos being one of the best performers. We're going to talk about why that is. We do welcome just shy of 1,000 subscribers this week, so a slower news week means less subscribers, but there's still plenty of people flowing into this space which we didn't see in crypto winter. So into the local news, and 3 of the big 4 banks didn't pass on the second rate cut from the RBA. So last time around, ANZ held off. Now the other 3 have taken their turn in not being too generous. So that is going to hit your savings account as well as give you a bit of breathing room on your mortgage rate. We've also seen APRA relax those lending standards. So that 7.25% benchmark has now been adjusted to 2.5% over that standard rate. So that's going to give a lot of people a bit more wiggle room, allow them to get bigger mortgages. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below. We have seen auction clearance rates bounce fairly strongly. So we have to admit that this is a step in the right direction. But if we actually have a look at the number of sales, they're still pretty low. So let's see where the dust settles and give it a few weeks, and Martin Northwood and I will talk about that in more detail this week. Now, I covered a video about how low interest rates can go in the Australian economy this week, and we have been the beneficiary of our exports, 5.7 billion trade surplus for Australia. So that is another thing that's heading in the right direction. We do need government to ramp up that spending and keep up with infrastructure, especially if China slows down. We are at the mercy of those prices of exports. So gold's had a good week. Bond yields have been crushed around the globe as people fear that another large economy may be slowing down. Now, some more good news for Australian households. A lot of you are going to receive $1,080 in tax cuts. So I'm not sure how soon that's going to hit your bank account, but the ATO have been flooded with calls, urging some patience there, but I'm sure plenty of you are going to spend that on crypto or paying down some debt. Again, let me know what you're going to spend that on in the comments below. We do have to thank New Brighton Capital, a sponsor of our channel that have been helping plenty of you guys put a small percentage of your super into Bitcoin. It is an option you've got available, and obviously we don't do paid crypto interviews or promotions on the channel, so we're very thankful to be supported by a quality Australian business like New Brighton Capital. Just a reminder that our group members, over 1,460 this week, get a range of discounts, including larger discounts with our partners such as New Brighton Capital. So Australia may be next to be hit with some tariffs on aluminium, as Trump seems to be firing from the hip lately. They're not the only ones. 400% tariffs on Vietnamese steel. So look, he's certainly doing all he can to bring jobs back to America, but we'll get to that in just a sec. So Italy did avoid those EU penalties, and 30-year bond yields absolutely plunged. So that was the fear that they were going to default or what's going to go on there, but they have managed to kick that can down the road a little bit further. And for the first time ever, we saw the German bond drop into the negative. So most of you are pretty familiar with negative interest rates by now. Even the powerhouse economy of Europe is now in negative interest rates. So Deutsche Bank has been in the headlines plenty of times lately, and one company here, Rentec, has pulled cash out of Deutsche Bank. So when you've got too many positions and not enough liquidity, any withdrawals are, a form of a bank run, and that really puts them under stress. So we're starting to see bad headlines come out, as in investment bank head Richie leaving. So he's going to get a nice severance package here. He gets paid 250,000 euros a month to help with Brexit, and 11 million euros for leaving. So there's rumors that up to 20,000 Deutsche Bank employees could be fired as soon as today. So look, I hope that they do get looked after half as generously as him as well. So the IMF, Christine Lagarde. Most of you are familiar with the International Monetary Fund by now, to replace Mario Draghi as the head of the European Central Bank. So we know that they love to play this game where friends get elected and whatnot. So not much is going to change there. But if you didn't know, Christine Lagarde has been charged in the past criminal charges over a massive government payout. So look, I actually think that she's probably got one of the cleaner records of all these central bankers. But not without the issues as well. So we're thinking of our friends over in the US, a 7.1 earthquake. I hope you're all okay. You haven't been affected by that. But US government is the next to think about banning encryption. We've seen the Australian government crack down on that. I'm not sure how this can possibly get passed in the US, where we've got, Silicon Valley and all those massive tech giants. I'm sure they would be lobbying and fighting if the US wanted to try and ban encryption. But the US economy had a record number of jobs. So the odds of that central bank rate cut have been tumbling. The market was actually pricing in 2 cuts or a 50 basis point cut. And now they're still saying that they think the US are actually going to cut rates even with this good jobs number. Now, that did mean that they broke the record, the longest expansion on history. So this is now the longest bull market ever. I'm not sure how long this can go on for if they continue to play these games with QE and whatnot. But yeah, the S&P 500 did close above 3,000. And as those bond yields tumble and go negative, people want to park their money somewhere else. And at the moment, the US stock market is the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry. Now, over 25% of those job cuts did come from the auto sector. I've been talking about Carmageddon a lot on the channel. We know that consumers cut back on those sort of things first. So yeah, a lot of part-time jobs, underemployment, just as we see in Australia. And again, when we scratch beneath the surface, small business employment is collapsing. Haven't seen this since the GFC. So that's the sort of thing that we want. Small businesses, people starting businesses, and so on. And those numbers are looking weak. So again, the Fed are going to do their jawboning and say that everything's great. We're willing to cut rates if we need to, but they're saying that this low growth is just transitory. They love those sort of words. So gold did surge as Donald Trump did nominate a gold standard advocate. So Judy Shelton. It's been a while since we've had these sort of pro-gold people as board members on the Fed. So let's see what happens there. I'd love to see Trump talk more about gold and Bitcoin, but I'll tell you what, he's been doing all he can to put the Bitcoin price up. This tweet here, guys, is so significant. I did post about this in a few different places, but Trump coming out and saying our most difficult problem is not our competitors, it's the Federal Reserve, and saying that they shouldn't have cut rates. So who knows if we're going to see something similar to Turkey, where they did fire the central bank governor, but that would certainly absolutely shock markets, and I think it would send gold and Bitcoin skyrocketing, as they know that the central banks are out of control, as they all are racing to the bottom, and Trump's even encouraging the US to join that race now. Now, the Bank of International Settlements is the bank of central banks, I guess, and he's warning central banks, preserve your ammunition. And this is one of the things I'm worried about in Australia. If we have a recession and interest rates are already this low, I'm not really sure where we can go, and it's a global problem. At the same time, he's gone from calling crypto a Ponzi scheme to saying that, hey, we're working on it, and maybe central banks could issue their own cryptocurrencies in the future. So a bit of a change of tune there from the big fella. Okay, so Travel by Bit, one of Australia's favourite companies. You can now earn up to 10% rewards when you book your hotel, holiday, and flights through Travel by Bit. A great way to stack sats. I'm sure plenty of you guys will be paying for your next holiday. If you want to come to Australia, make sure you use Travel by Bit. So these privacy coins have had a lot of bugs over the years, and this Monero flaw has been patched, but crypto exchanges could have been affected by that. And it's one of the problems if we're going to take Bitcoin or Ethereum fully private, that we've got to make sure that there's no bugs, because all these privacy technologies really are bleeding edge. In talking about exchanges, KuMex, I'm sure they've stolen that name off BitMEX there, but KuCoin are launching margin trading. I believe that they want to offer 100x eventually. I'm not sure what the starting leverage is going to be there, guys, but do be careful if you play around with leverage. You shouldn't be trading with high leverage unless you do know what you're doing. And Binance, as we see here, they're only starting off with 20 times leverage. So that's still plenty of way to make money on good trades and be patient. So many people want to hit that big number on their next trade rather than trying to build their portfolio steadily with a strategy. Now, Dogecoin was listed on Binance. This is a crowd favorite. It's one of those old coins. It did jump on this announcement, but when people say to me, how does Dogecoin have value? Well, people perceive it as value. It's a great way to still send money from A to B very cheaply, and they do have a big old school community. People that have made money in crypto, so they've got no real need to dump their Dogecoin profits on the market anytime soon. They want to see it grow, and it is a bit of a joke, but I think it's great. So Binance are switching their Tether addresses from Omni over to ERC20. So look, Omni was originally built as a layer on top of Bitcoin, but ERC20, the Ethereum network, it's just that global standard that has been set. So if you are going to deposit, make sure you do check that you are sending to an ERC20 address that should start with 0x. The IOTA Foundation, I had Dominic on the channel this week. Fantastic interview. Make sure you do try out that new wallet. The first one was pretty ordinary to use, and they do promise me that this is one of the best wallets out there. Great user interface for all you IOTA holders. So Craig Wright has been in court this week, falsifying documents to prove his innocence in Kleiman case. So look, I'm not sure if this has been, this is just alleged, but we continue to get these headlines, and this is going to come to a screaming halt sooner or later, but let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. So Ripple have pledged $500 million so far to create real use cases for XRP. That is something that I've been pretty critical on and harping on about. So yeah, it's great. We have the Ethereum Foundation pumping money into the best projects. So Ripple are pumping money, trying to get great use cases for XRP. And that's what XRP needs if it wants to succeed long term. Now, Tezos have landed a $1 billion deal with a major Brazilian bank. So they want to set the standard for security tokens, issuance, and all that sort of thing. It was a great week. These, as I said before, one of the best performers. Tezos have had their issues as well, with the founders and all sorts of things. There's already talk about possibly a fork. So it's good to see that Tezos holders are getting rewarded because it has been tough times. The Cardano Foundation's also been pretty busy. Again, global digital finance, trying to set out standards. And again, they're trying to break into the STO space. I think Charles Hoskinson has got friends in the right places and he is making the right moves. But again, the Cardano price has just been beaten up back to 7 cents lately when they've made so much progress, I think, compared to the recent lows. Now, Litecoin was integrated with Flexa, 39,000 merchants. It's the silver to Bitcoin's gold in my eyes. A lot of people don't like that, but as I just described with Dogecoin, it's the community, then the longevity, and people are going to spend their Litecoin as well as those other coins that were already integrated into the Flexa app. Now, eToro did add 3 ERC20 tokens and 3 of my favorites. This is why I keep saying that money is going to flow into the quality large cap coins. Maker, BAT, and Amisa Go. Investing giant eToro, giving that on-ramp to a new wave of investors to hold those coins on their website there. So the Chicago, or the CME, have changed their reference rate, so where they derive the Ether price from. And a lot of people are speculating that this is going to mean Ethereum futures. So with Bitcoin, we need to get a reference price from the larger exchanges, Kraken and Coinbase and so on. So what do you guys think? Are Ethereum futures coming? Is that a good thing? We actually saw the Bitcoin price decline significantly since those Bitcoin futures were launched. Now, Ethereum is planning to reduce their issuance up to 10-fold by 2021. So obviously everyone's excited about that Litecoin halving. We've got the Bitcoin halving next year, but a 10-fold decrease from 2 Ethereum per block to 0.2 obviously gives Ethereum greater scarcity, and all things remaining equal, we would say that that's going to put upwards pressure on the price, but that's still a couple of years away yet. Over in Venezuela, and nothing like forcing the people to use your own coin. So ordering a top bank to make the Petro available to the public. I'm not sure if anyone is going to use this or why they would possibly use it. We see Bitcoin volumes at record highs in Venezuela, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we've got any Venezuelan viewers. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. And this is the option that I think many countries are going to take. Instead of forcing their own currency down people's throats, we're going to see large crypto mining farms, renewable energy plants, all these sort of things built around the Bitcoin and crypto infrastructure to mine it and earn some revenue for these countries that have excess resources. So more good developments on Bitcoin here. Blockstream launching atomic swaps and liquid Bitcoin on that side chain. So that's going to free up the main Bitcoin chain between all the exchanges and so on with that liquid side chain. And atomic swaps, so we can swap between similar coins as well, freeing up the network. And we've finally seen Electrum, one of the best desktop wallets out there, integrating support for Lightning Network. So it's all coming along nicely, guys. I just feel like we are gearing up for that bull run in the back half of this year. And TD Ameritrade are the second one to get the green light for Bitcoin-backed futures. We saw, I believe it was, the name escapes me now, guys, who listed that last week as well. So they didn't get the first to the punch bowl there, but Bitcoin-backed futures is okay by me. Now, last week I spoke about the longs versus shorts. So $200 million worth were claimed on Bitfinex, and it didn't move the price. So I'll just bring those up on the chart here. And last Sunday night, just after I finished recording, those shorts absolutely dropped off a cliff there. So how does that happen without pushing up the price? Well, on Bitfinex, someone can claim those, meaning they've already got them in their wallet to settle the trade with that person that they borrowed off. So we've now got that 2-to-1 ratio the other way around with all these longs. So that does, it sort of increases the chances, I believe, that we can get more of a squeeze to the downside if we do get that next leg down. But let's bring up our time cycles here. Last week, we knew we'd run hard. The RSI was overbought. We've been waiting for this to cool off. We were looking for the 3rd of July as that push up, and we did get that there. It's chopping around. We don't want to lose this key level here around 10,800, or that weakness can continue out to July 20th, as I said there. If we want to take a step back and a good perspective of what's been happening, we've had this sharp run up, it's been good volume, and now we're having decreasing volume on this decline. So far, the moving averages have held. We haven't seen huge sell-offs yet there. The dips have been bought. So a lot of people are throwing out these low numbers and speculating that, we could be testing the lows and all that sort of thing. But so far, guys, it hasn't been that bad. If we want to zoom in on the 4-hour chart, there's a couple of patterns that are playing out. So the first one is this inverse head and shoulders here, and we're complex left and right shoulders forming. But if this can continue here and get that clear break up of this downtrend, that could send us right to retest 14,000 there. Look, I'm not sure how likely I think this pattern is. I actually think it's healthy for the market to continue correcting. And if we zoom into the hourly chart, there's head and shoulders patterns forming everywhere, and everyone's waiting to see if this is just going to capitulate and break down. But if we're looking at a few of these other support levels here, guys, I've just been using a lot of horizontals lately at previous closes and whatnot, and this is where it's held and it's tiptoeing around. But the place where a lot of people are eyeing off for that correction is between 30 and 40%. So that 30% mark gets us right down to where we touched there, and 40% gets us down to around that 8,000, low 8,000s there. I believe that's going to be pretty aggressively bought if we get down to those levels. I'm sure there's plenty of people that missed the boat. They've been waiting for this pullback, and when everyone's waiting to buy the pullback, it doesn't tend to linger down there too long. So that's all I'm going to talk about. I've done a deeper dive into what I'm seeing in the technicals for our members yesterday. If you do want to join us, head over to nuggetsnews.com.au. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.